Good morning again here from Sydney. We are here for part two of three of the Crazyhouse World Championship final between Jasugi99 and catask. We join here with catask taking a very strong lead in the first 20 games, which was 2 days ago. catask currently leads 14 games to 6. There will be 60 games in total. I'm joined here again by a fantastic commentary team. We got Yasa01, we got Clearcast and Mugwort again from last year, and two of Sweden's best, two guys I have big respect for. We have Zixon, also known as Firefly, and Gnaeus, the real one, Bughouse Masters and Legends since more than 20 years ago. So we're about to get started. Welcome everyone. Great to have you all again. Team of 6 commentators. All right. Okay.
Thank you, Justin. It's great to be here with everyone. Looking forward to a fantastic match, and a big shout out to our audience. Thank you for joining us as well.
The
Okay.
players must have heard you, Justin, because they've started with E4.
That's it.
Exactly.
I was quite surprised that there weren't many D4s in the previous part of the series.
Gentlemen, 14-6 is a huge score, but somehow, as usual in big scores, it's not really been reflective of the run of the play, because the games themselves have actually been very close. And if I'm thinking there was at least 3 big turnarounds in the first round of action, so it could have been 11-9, I think, would be more justified. What does catask have to do?
It'd be Jasugi.
Pardon me.
Yeah.
Jasugi. Pardon me. That was a big mistake for me. What does he have to do, Jasugi? What he's doing now? You like this? E4.
Well, let's make a comment. This move 4 is already looks like something that could be a novelty or a deviation. So you'll see, by the way, catask is spending time already.
Right.
We're not entirely sure whether it's good or bad even. But in general comment, if we're saying, what does Jasugi need to do? I think, yeah, you just need to fight and make catask play. That's one thing. Like, you can't approach this and say, oh, the guy's too good. And the other is probably, I just felt at the clutch moments, like in the time scrambles, I think catask just came away with a few more games than Jasugi did. And Jasugi is usually very well known for being there at the clutch moments. So, yeah, let's hopefully Jasugi comes completely warmed up this time.
Yeah.
Katask having a bit of an edge in match fitness, going through the candidate stage in the fashion he did. That's my opinion, my long answer, but some of the others can give their opinion.
I think it's important not to let Katask get into a groove, because he's that kind of player that he can just steamroll ahead, and it's important for Jasugi to try and disturb him, especially in the opening, to find some new idea, or to vary the move order often, and not like Katask just repeat the same patterns. I'm sorry, who was speaking before? Clearcast, was it you?
I think Zixon.
Zixon.
Yeah.
My first impressions, I'm looking at this pawn sacrifice, and I don't see it for white. I'm not feeling the heat. In fact, I'm really thinking to myself, boy, if black had a pawn, he'll drop it on the E3 square. So at the moment, I'm not warm. How about yourselves to this to novel idea, different approach?
Yeah, I think the idea is generally sack a pawn and white getting a lot of activity. I think Katask has deliberately played h6 and delayed castling on the king side, because if you just castle and allow pawn at h6, then white gets quite a free game to move around. So here I think it's quite deliberate, not castling king side, just keeping the king in the middle for a few moves.
Right.
And
I'll definitely go along with that. But again, I'm looking at this bishop on c5 looks very menacing to my eyes. And I don't know, something like knight takes c4 and g5 might just be terrible. Terrible for white.
Yeah, and
okay, knight g5, knight g6.
You've got a practical decision here made by white to, give a pawn in the opening, but you have a look at the clocks. The key objective is that catask is not in his comfort zone. So knight at h5 looks interesting, but maybe bishop takes f2 is the response there. King takes f2, queen h4 check, knight g3, knight takes f4.
Types of sacrifices look promising. Maybe even inclusive of a bishop d4 check just to cover g7.
Yeah.
I think he's thinking about queen takes g4, maybe.
Queen g4, queen f4, yeah? Or
yeah, but okay, you can trade and play queen at f3, and you have some defense, you attack the knight. After queen takes f4 here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think g4
I'm just getting a little feedback. How about yourselves? Do you guys hear a little feedback?
Yeah, there's a bit of background noise, but it'll be fine.
All right. Just making sure that it's comfortable for everybody. Bishop check. Ooh. Oh. That was a big decision made quickly. King e2. He's getting on his dancing shoes and moving to the queen side. Pawn f2, perhaps.
Yeah, so black.
Maybe queen takes c3 is a good option.
Oh, very nice. In order to trade queens with knight f2 check. Very nice.
Remove a defender, yeah.
Guess who woke up this morning?
We have to take it because there's knight at f2 made in one.
Yeah.
Queen takes f4 is possible, right?
Yeah, queen takes f4, then you probably queen takes b2 might be something.
Yeah, threatening knight at c3 mate. That's not. Oh no, you had to take the queen, I think.
But maybe queen takes f7 then was something. But all right, it didn't happen.
I'm thinking pawn to d3 check, and oh, that was a nice idea by white. Bishop takes d3, knight e5. Okay. And time's a factor as before. I mean, in the first series of games, it often got to the situation, and catask time and time again came through. Ooh, big move there.
Big
by
move.
f6.
Pawn at f6.
Yeah, make catask calculate when he's got 7 seconds left.
Yeah, f takes
exactly.
g7.
Queen f7. Oh, queen f6. I thought he was going to
play. He's going all in.
Whoa!
But king c2.
No,
c2 d1.
You can't take it because of queen at c5.
Yeah, but there's bishop takes g7 now with nice control at some point.
Yes.
After you take the rook or before you take the rook?
Oh, this is maybe mate.
You can't run out to e2 anymore. You have to block the check.
Take on g7 and just whoa! What?
Knight takes b1 here. I think make another square for the king. And the king can run to f3.
Knight at c3 maybe was winning.
Ooh. King e2, it's getting mated in one. So king c2.
Right. So bishop g7. A move
no, can you play queen at e7 here and give? It's not quite enough. I think this is a good assessment to take the bishop.
Not quite sure because that opened up b2 for the rook. Justin.
Yeah, king c1 is okay. Knight covers d2.
Okay, I think he's got to drop in some pawns.
He's
quickly.
thinking
pawn
if
to f2.
d1 or c1 is good.
Oh, pawn to f2. Get it in there quickly.
Wow, stunning first game.
Let it run. I think he's done
Not sure
it
what catask is trying to do. I don't think he has anywhere near enough for an attack.
No, he's definitely lost the thread, as we would say. And there it goes.
Okay, but he's safe. So we have to see some patience from white here. You have to.
Rook.
I think you still got to move the rook.
G1.
Come on, Jasugi.
At 3/7. Oh, he moved it to D1. That was the worst square because bishop takes is the threat of check on D1. Oh, that was a terrible move.
He's-
Maybe that costs him. That costs him the game. Takes the rook and puts another rook on E1.
This is nail biting stuff.
Terrible.
Okay. But knight takes H5 was on.
It was easy. That would have. Okay.
Well, he'll win from here. He'll win from here.
It must be mate. Yeah, it's mate. Queen A5. Oh, sorry, missed that. Queen A5.
Yeah, Queen A5 was made. Yeah.
Yeah, but he'll still get him.
Players are just warming up.
Oh wow. Okay.
What game? How many turnarounds in one game?
That was a big swing. Bravo, Jasugi. He needed
The
that.
point of knight H5 was very nice because if you take it, Justin, then knight at D5 becomes available.
I see. Okay.
The knight was defending.
I wasn't sure what catask was threatening when the knight was on B2, the king was on C2. I thought Jasugi would just go for the attack rather than going B takes A4, something like knight at H5.
Yeah.
But he defended really, really well. And then it was the move rook D1 that suddenly landed him in real trouble, like bang, and that could
rook H1 looked much more natural.
Exactly.
I had an internal cheer go off when I saw Jasugi play pawn at F6 because for me that's the Jasugi move, like the one critical move where you really throw, sand in the face of your opponent,
right?
If you like, and he's so good at doing that, and like catask was completely in control until that pawn at F6 had to, go, okay, I thought I was just going to take the bishop on D3 and I'm attacking your queen, and then suddenly white's got something to play for.
Right.
Nice game, very nice from Jasugi.
Very nice. Not a fan of this move, bishop E2. I don't know about yourselves, but really like knight H5, which defended G3 to begin with, but also hit G7 and maybe prepped the move H6. But okay, he wants to castle by hand. But knight H5, any takers? The silence is deafening, guys.
Yeah, it's a good idea. It's a good idea.
It's good, yeah.
I was thinking about it for a second.
I think both players and the commentators just have to slow down their heart rate a little bit after the first game, and maybe that's why the moves won't necessarily flow.
It's a good start, by the way, for Jasugi after winning the two last games of the first session. This is good for confidence, and if he can string together 3-4 wins now, that will be very nice for the spectators.
Yeah, and for the competitiveness of the match, considering there's still another part to go.
Most definitely the competitiveness as well. G4, wow. Okay, sometimes the best defense is a good offense, and G4.
So we're looking at H takes G4, knight takes F4, E takes F4, bishop takes F4, just to neutralize all three pawns.
I was looking at D takes E5 because
I the same for me. D takes
G takes
E5
F3 is not much.
Exactly. Wow, he recaptured.
Like this, there's queen B6 to avoid the queen trade.
Ooh, nice spot.
Then you take back on E5. And then your black squares are awful.
Knight D5 is going to be.
Yeah, but you just give that queen and continue your attack then.
Okay,
maybe it's good, but it's.
Ooh.
Well, this is a surprise.
I didn't. Very much so. I didn't think black could allow this queen trade, but pawn to G3, huh?
Or a retake with the bishop and bishop B6, same idea as before.
Okay, fair.
Because white wants something at G7, but a lot of people probably will think why he's not trading queens and just play knight takes G7. but you don't have to take back the knight with black, and actually you gain a lot of time then. So that's why catask isn't doing that immediately. But maybe some people will do.
So white needs 2 tempi to even set up a mate threat.
Any takers for pawn to, I was going to say pawn to h6, but knight to d5 was played before. We could look at pawn to h6.
I like your pawn at h6 actually.
Yeah.
This is opens up for bishop c5 check, pawn at g3 kind of stuff. It looks f6 is weak, but yeah, I like pawn at h6 better.
I was looking at bishop takes c6.
f4 was also a nice cop out.
Bishop takes c6. There must maybe a problem with defending, I think, because bishop takes c6, queen trades was made. Because you can play knight at h6 and then the smothered mate idea. But I think there was a problem with black mating first.
Okay.
Here I'm seeing I take on e7. Pawn takes e7, sorry.
Yeah, not pawn takes c7, knight takes c7.
Another opportunity for bishop c5, which Jasugi didn't play.
Wow. Okay. A little confusion on my part as I. Yeah, I think I'd like to take that pawn too. Knight f2 check, I'm not scared. Or should I be scared?
Probably bishop takes f4. You gotta keep your back rank defended.
And then h takes g7 maybe is a problem.
That's a big problem. I think so too.
So is there something decisive here? Like pawn at c6, or are we too slow after he takes f4?
Time, gentlemen. Time. Ooh, he just barely made the move. Is there a counter sacrifice?
Queen takes d5.
Queen takes d5, rook at f1 ideas. I can't make it work yet. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I think that looked really strong.
But this is
rook at g1, you mean? Or?
No, rook at f1 because knight at g3, and then you can play knight takes f1. Yeah. It's a nice spot, Clearcast. The rook at f1.
Yeah.
I think Jasugi's played this very safely as well, though. As you can see, the task is probably got his last game in his mind a little bit as well.
F1 knight, just probably checking if his auto queen on. Yeah.
Rook at h8.
Yes.
Oh no.
It's auto queen on.
What kind of move was queen? You put a knight. You promote it to a knight.
I think he meant to use the knight.
But black is safe, right? Queen covers f6.
Queen covers f6.
Queen that covers f6.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, that's a lucky.
Ooh. Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Nice.
So now knight at f6 is so maybe rook at g6 here. But then you've got to be careful of queen takes hg and pawn at h7.
Queen f6. He's got
only a pawn.
Okay, so that way the queen now defends f1 from the knight at f1 check. And white. Oh my goodness.
Oh, another mouse slip.
Oh, nerves.
Okay. Oh,
nerves.
And
but he was okay.
This is what
after bishop at e6.
Needed to climb back into the match, make it competitive. What did you say, Neil?
Was he okay after bishop at e6? Which way was he going?
No, I'm not sure if he could have run out
G6,
to the queen
H6.
side or not. I was thinking you run queen side.
Just before the games, we were talking about Carlsen giving Ding Liren a free queen.
Yes.
Not doing the first part, but he maybe did it right now. Let's call it that way.
Very importantly, bishop g5 and h6 was not included. It turned out, in my view, that the move bishop g5 did not help white in that previous game. That actually worked out well. So now pawn to d4, right? You got to close this bishop. I'm thinking this bishop on c5 is just too strong, and you have to close that diagonal. Here, I'm thinking pawn to g4 like we previously saw, and black has the initiative. Once more.
Yeah.
Can you play e5 here? Can you go really tough with e5? Because if you can, you're probably doing very well. If you can't, it's one of those do or die things. But if e5 is an option for white, he's fine.
If e5 was an option, and then I would have taken on f3.
It's probably g takes f3 is the most testing move.
Yeah, but he takes f3, take on f6.
He takes f6, and then g takes f6.
Exactly, that was my thinking as well.
Allow knight g7 there? Yeah, maybe. That's interesting.
Knight g7.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's what I'm saying. I'm not sure it works, but I think that it's what white has to do.
I see your point. I see your point is that if you can play it, you should.
See, this is why I really wanted to see pawn to d4 earlier by white, because again, I'm looking at this bishop on c5 and I'm just going, oh my God, that is so attractive a piece. Bishop f6, queen f6 is just deadly. f2 is hanging. So I don't like this for white, unless he has some trickies.
I mean, he's probably considering pawn at g6, but I don't think it works. So bishop e3 would probably be the best move. But pawn at g6 is my guess that he's contemplating it.
I see. Yeah,
something like pawn at g6, h takes g5, takes f7, king takes f7, and pawn at f5, sacrificing two pieces to open up all the white squares. Might be worth it.
There will be a king ending up on g6 with a lot of protection around, though, right? I mean, two pieces and.
So maybe this was a better choice, yeah.
Okay,
but it seems this seems fishy for white for sure.
Okay, so this is a nice idea. Bishop at b6 check. The idea being, if you block with something on e3, then the file is no longer open, and black can capture e takes f5 safely.
The knight is hanging. Yeah.
Would you consider king f1 here?
Yeah, that's legal. This one I wouldn't have considered. I would not have considered king e2. We saw this previously, funnily enough, but I'm not a fan of getting on the walking shoes. I like this move a lot. This move basically says to white, I don't believe anything you've done. Knight to d5, queen to h4.
Or queen takes b2 even.
Sorry, what?
And I thought knight at d5. Yeah.
Yeah,
but
that's why he's
d5,
used.
There was and now you see the bishop on b6 nicely guarding c7.
Right. Yeah. This one, okay. Queen to d4 check. This has worked out fantastically good for black in my estimation. Knight to e5, blocking the e file. Yeah, looks good. Looks good. And bishop f5.
Okay, exercising the pin on the e file.
Ideas of pawn to e2 to. Yep. I'm thinking pawn to e2 here.
Queen takes c4, maybe.
Queen takes c4. Good.
And then bishop takes f5. That might be the. Whoa!
And then
what happened there?
Was my move.
Was that just a free knight?
He blundered the piece.
What?
Yeah.
Whoa. Yeah, I was thinking that this a move ago. Then the knight on c6 protects the queen against a check. Ooh.
Yeah, that's right.
Wait, no, he takes the queen with check, promotes, and then rook 8 takes
d1. Yeah, but
d1.
does that do anything? You cover the white squares. Is he going to do anything with the queen?
This looks fantastic for white.
Fantastic for white.
No, queen takes c3.
Queen
There's
takes
probably enough
b4.
defenders.
Queen takes b4,
I think
guys.
Queen takes
maybe
b4
queen
might be
F-
mated with bishop at e6, actually.
You
Yeah,
don't have
that's-
you have only one knight.
Yeah,
You
no,
can't give me a check. Oh,
Yeah.
maybe this is even stronger for you. Go check. Knight c4 check.
Knight c4.
Knight on
king
e5 to
c2.
c4. Knight on e5 to c4 check.
Yep.
Okay, knight a3 check, king d3, bishop c2 check.
The knight is pinned. No.
Yeah, the knight's pinned.
No.
Yes.
No, now bishop to c2 check. He didn't find it.
Wow.
But
So
this is also mating. Knight at f2.
And then it's a knight on b4, f2.
yeah,
Yes.
wow, very nice.
That's a pretty mate.
Yeah. A very pretty mate, yes.
Covering e4.
But that was clever. Queen f2 check. Queen f2 check. And after queen takes b2, I think he was winning.
Was there an alternative against queen at f2? Because was there a block?
Yeah, he had to block, I agree. Because queen takes b2 was curtains.
Yeah, Jasugi's come out doing what Jasugi does, where, you really feel you've got to put him away, and he's very slippery, even when you feel like you've got the advantage.
Slippery as an eel, huh? As we were coming on, everybody, and again, a big shout out to our audience for joining us. I said to Justin, let's get this rodeo started. And as I was saying that American expression, let's get it going. Is there such an expression in Swedish? Do you have, what do you say in Swedish when you want the show to start?
What do we say, Morten?
I don't know. Do we have a?
Surely.
I'm not sure actually. Huh?
Yeah. And then when we say the show is over, we say the show is over when the fat lady sings from the
Yeah, we
opera.
don't have that expression in Sweden.
No, the fat lady sings.
Actually, we borrow the American English one.
Yeah, so context for the viewers is last stream, we started at least sharing one Swedish expression that there's no cow on ice, meaning things are not so bad because at least there's not a cow on the ice. So that's where Yas is continuing. But
Right. We it's a theme. It's a theme that we were having, and I'm trying to practice my Swedish. It was a disaster. My first trip to Sweden in I'm going to say 79 to Malmo. My host had a lot of fun with me because they made me say the number 7 in Swedish. I couldn't do it. and ever since, it's been an effort to fight back.
We do have one of those, hard to pronounce, say, or like word puzzles or whatever you want to call it. That's difficult to pronounce with that. We say, sju sköna sköterskor sköter sju sjuka sjömän, which is a tongue
very
twister.
hard. Yes. There's a lot of subtleties.
7 lovely nurses take care of 7 sick seamen is what it means in English. Yeah. So
Nice.
the sju sound is in 7 is very difficult. Yes.
Yeah.
Happens all the time.
For our viewers, say the number 7 in Swedish, and so that they can understand my difficulty that I had. What's the number 7?
Sju.
Again?
Sju.
yeah, that's tough.
Say it all the time.
For Aussies
Yeah.
especially,
Yeah.
and Americans.
Speaking of cows on the ice, I just took a quick peek at the game before, after queen at f2. White was +3 or something. So
Right.
it was completely winning. Yeah.
Oh,
But he put a cow on the ice by not blocking the check, I think.
Okay, well
By
this
the way, the
current
reason he
current
didn't-
game, let's
The reason, in my opinion, black didn't play king g8 was because of pawn to f7 check. And if queen takes f7, rook goes to h8. If the king goes to h8, you put in a rook to g8 and you repeat. And eventually you get the queen with a check. So that was why he played king e8. But this looks fantastically good for white as well, yeah?
Yeah, you've still got. It's not over yet. The fat lady hasn't sung Yasser, but the
She's warming up. She's just practicing. I like this move e5. By the way, you're threatening. You got a double threat to check on c7, check on f6.
Well, material-wise, black isn't doing so badly here, but
no.
He's never going to get time.
Put
the pieces on the board.
Right. So first impressions are I want to take on d6.
Yeah, and then probably king takes to get out of the line of fire.
King takes, okay, good.
Because
good,
otherwise, I think then knight e4
but
check
this drops
was
the
useful.
e6 pawn with check.
Sorry, queen at e5 now.
Queen to e5 check and queen e6, yeah?
Yeah, queen at e5, king d7, queen takes e6, king c7.
And now I've got a bishop g3.
Or d5, yeah.
Oh, that's a nasty
d5
move.
is nasty, yeah.
The idea is bishop takes d5, queen takes e6.
I think you might have to play bishop takes d5 here. If not, e takes d5. Maybe pawn at e6 was dangerous if you played e takes d5.
This feels like curtains here. Pawn to e5 or bishop?
If
pawn
I'm
to
white
e5.
here, I'm actually going like, man, is Jasugi really going to swindle me out of this one? Because it's from this kind of position, you kind of feel like.
No, he's not getting away, Justin. The lives of a cat are few.
They're finite.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, this cat's a very special cat, though. So.
But that's
that's game. That's game. Queen d7. Okay, 2-0.
Yeah.
Nice game from catask.
Knight at f4 was still a try. I mean, I'm sure white is winning, but knight at f4 instead of bishop takes e5 was a try, I think.
Better than d4, my territory.
Bishop d7.
Yeah,
played in
bishop
1 or 2
d7.
seconds.
It feels like he knows something here.
Wow, bishop to d7 is not on my radar, guys. Whoa, g6. That's very special.
I wonder if catask went away and studied something different to. Because last time we saw a quick castle with h6, so there was h4, and catask didn't like that, I felt. So
Jasugi won the first game of the match.
Yep.
So, I think this is only the second time he's gone for d4. He's on 100% so far with it.
Yeah. Knight f7. I'm assuming he wants to play e5 or d5 and then take a second pawn with knight takes d5. Is that his
plan? That's.
Whoa.
What this I don't understand yet.
Bishop c4.
Bishop c4, queen f3 is an idea maybe.
So e6.
Okay, so after bishop e6 or e6.
What
I was
E6?
going to recapture on d5 with the queen, Justin.
Is he going for h6 and g7 with the pawns?
Oh, he didn't recapture with the queen. He just recaptured with the bishop.
But you can play e4 maybe here as well.
Yeah, maybe e4 or pawn. So he's given some support behind for d4, leaving the pawn on e3. You can't take because of knight at g5.
Trying to get him to put a pawn on d3 and get him to get a pawn out of the hand.
Yeah, absolutely, yes. So bishop c4 is a resourceful sidestep. It's creating a problem for white to get safe. And then you're really asking white how to continue here.
Now, the problem with a move like b3, keeping the pawn in hand, bishop b4 check or bishop a5 check, forces you to put something that you have in your hand on the board and lessens your attacking potential. I like the move bishop c4 a lot.
Maybe he wants you should play knight g5 and d5 here to create some knight e6 ideas.
Yeah, I was looking at that too. Cast.
This is okay. It's defending, but now you're just 2 pieces down for 2 pawns.
It feels like insufficient. Yeah.
So maybe queen g4 to get something going on light squares.
Yeah, you have to try something like that. I want queen b3.
Where was the king going after knight at g5?
Maybe king g8.
But then bishop takes c7, pawn at f7.
Ah, yeah.
Ooh.
So then maybe king e8 is better than.
Then knight e6.
Yeah. Then knight at g5 is playable.
White is in there with a shout.
It should have been
Good
tried.
point, Neil.
I think the king goes to f8, knight e6, king g8, and then you take back on d8, and all you have is a queen.
Yeah, black has a lot of minor pieces.
So queen b3 is the point behind c3 here,
Right.
and with everything covered on the light squares. And knight at f8, Catask showing some respect here.
Confusion. I didn't fully understand anything there. Pawn to h6. If you go queen b3, check. Pawn to e6. I didn't see particularly why that was dangerous. But knight g5, I really liked earlier, Neil. I think you make a good point that bishop c7. I mean, you got to get something for your 2 pieces.
Yeah, I think he's got Catask passive at the least. And at some stage you look towards rolling that central pawn mass forward somehow.
Mm-hmm. But
right. So as you pointed out before, was it Zixon that you can just give up the queen in the face of it being attacked?
Prefers the pawn over the queen.
Right? I mean, confusion reigns.
And for the viewers,
pawn at d6. Pawn at d6 is very strong, so.
And for the
h3 or g4 made sense.
For the viewers, sometimes white in that position might not want to take a queen and would prefer more pawns and minor pieces to penetrate black's position, because a queen is actually not as useful for breaking open, somewhere where you've got deadlock like this. So that's why knight takes c7 may be played. It's not a miss on taking the queen. It's certainly deliberate.
Definitely deliberate. Here, knight g5. Bishop
Task is looking for an opportunity to get in. Bishop takes d3.
Yeah, pawn at g2 is coming. Because if you take on f7, you get the extra pawn you need to win.
You take a rook and knight f3 check, yes.
Yeah, and then pawn at g2. So, but if you don't take the knight, maybe you can do something else. Maybe something like bishop at d5 or so is a move. I don't know. Maybe it's too slow. Maybe you just take the rook and the queen then. But this is.
So if rook e1, knight g5 looks really tough.
Devastating.
I think you've got to leave it this way. Jasugi short on time.
Yeah, but now f4 maybe.
Yeah, it's only move.
You take the rook. You take F4? The rook. There's a knight in hand. Take the rook.
Or is there?
Bishop takes.
Yeah, can you run out to? You can't run to f2. Rook at g2 is made. Oh no.
Yeah, but
covering.
you take with the queen on f1 and pawn at h6. But maybe there's not enough there. No, but that looks good, right?
White has nothing in hand.
Yeah, but you take. Okay. I mean, this also. I thought queen takes was.
I think bishop takes that because knight at f3, king f2 is the resource here.
Mm-hmm.
I think it wasn't quite enough. So maybe You're a pawn
Maybe
short.
not.
Maybe you're like it's close. Pawn short, if anything. King f2 forced.
So I take on f7 now with the queen. So I threaten bishop g1 and rook f2.
But yeah, and if king g3, rook
Ooh.
at g4. I
That
think
was
queen
a
takes
surprise move for
f7.
me,
I think queen takes
h5.
f7 was sharp there. Yeah, sir.
Yeah.
But catask in time trouble now too.
Clear. Ooh, rook. Letting his advantage slip a
White's
bit.
looking okay
Knight
here.
takes.
The queen is on f1, but maybe you take it anyway. And,
Okay, we take the queen.
Yeah,
We have
there's.
a Hakasito on. Oh, he didn't go queen d2 check. Why didn't he go queen d2 check? That would have certainly have been winning in my view.
Okay, yeah, Jasugi defending.
This is still enough.
I tell you, these players are so resourceful. Oh my goodness. What a move.
That was
Knight
probably
to
not the move.
E1. Knight to E1.
Yeah,
Come
knight
on,
at
guys.
E1.
That was amazing. Like, what? Oh, Black is letting it slip.
Bishop h4 now. Yeah.
Oh, he's definitely let his advantage go completely away now.
I think that can be taken. Yeah, take it all.
Still tricky.
Oh, very
Okay.
tricky.
Was
Whoa.
knight at
No, and knight at f2, king d5.
Well, there's a bishop coming to f5 check, guys. Queen f7, and it's turned around
No,
again.
this is not the way.
And
Ah,
oh my gosh. And
yeah,
there's a mate
pawn.
with a knight on c2. He can't escape.
No, there's a net around the
On to
king now.
a6. Yes. Queen a2 check. Queen a2 check. Oh. Oh, Justin, you said take it all.
Yeah, but
I
don't
think-
get mated. That was tough. That was very tough because I thought Jasugi was in with some winning chances there.
For sure.
There's always going to be rook takes f7 picking up more material when catask needed it.
But what a timing on it too, Neil. So that when the king was on e4, you take a bishop so you can put the bishop on f5. Oh,
Feigning a repetition, but no.
That was a beauty. In the words of Borat, I appreciate.
Yeah, I liked your move. Queen takes f7 much earlier. Yeah, so with that bishop at g1
was nice. Yeah.
I thought White had some chances with the alternative that progressed. So here, pawn at b4 is good for Black. We're looking at taking e4.
Definitely take that. I'm very happy to get some pawns on the king side. Yes, take that. And maybe rook g8. I've seen Justin, doing this kind of thing. Yes.
I think this is fairly equal.
Yeah, I think Yasugi is doing a much better job in the opening in this leg, actually.
Normally, Black sacks a piece to get an open g file like this. You don't get it back with b4.
Normally, you sacrifice a piece and hope you have enough. It's like, oh man, rook b1. Somehow that doesn't have the same panache as the g file.
But something went wrong for catask in this opening, I feel. With bishop b5, bishop e2. That rook should be it. Isn't correct.
Yeah, I agree with rook b8 because Black's got to be resourceful in this sort of position that is semi-open. You need to keep your pieces in hand so you don't lose your options.
He wants knight f4 or
bishop h6. Yeah.
But knight f4 is also the threat. This is always a move.
I was about to say
bishop e7, king d7. You were saying?
No, I like the move B2, but I thought the plan was to take on C1 or G7. Yeah. Whoa, he took on C1. Yeah, okay. So rook to G7. Is there any pursuit of an initiative?
Now knight at G6 maybe, or bishop at E7.
I like the knight at G6. Ooh, move the king.
Yeah, king
Just
D7
giving the
always
queen
safe.
for the rook. I mean, it's just going to replace it on H8, right?
Yeah. If white wants, you can make a draw here.
Right, but I'm thinking queen to F8 and maybe taking the pawn on F7.
Queen F8.
If you're going to
bishop
do that,
takes
you
it
should
back.
get a queen. You should put queen on H8 and then take, and then when you
On
have a rook in
H7.
hand, there's a queen on G8. You will.
Thank you.
So
You're absolutely right, sir. Yeah, queen H8, queen takes H7, and then do. Yes, I agree. Respect.
Pawn grabbing.
Rook to G6. Okay.
It looks good for black, this, I think.
So are we taking on G7 now? And allowing a future knight F5? No, I think we just take on G7 and we're happy. I always like these barrier pawns. The pawn shield is very nice, keeping the king.
You play rook at B7 here? It seems a strange way to defend.
I have to say, I'm really not used to positions where nothing is pointing at the king.
Aha!
There
At
we go.
last. At last. But I think something's just going to drop on D5. Like here, I would probably play the move pawn to D5 more or less without too much thought.
I go bishop at G5. I think bishop at G5 actually
is very attractive. Yes, I agree. I agree. But you just see a move like rook D1, and instinct is to say, okay, that's
absolutely
like a waste. Yeah, yeah. Pawn on D5 is very useful, so let's put it there.
Bishop at G5, there may have been queen A3 as a response, and rook takes D6 threats.
Right, queen A3.
And rook takes A7.
And rook takes A7.
Again, that was a clever move, queen H6 to make black use a piece. I didn't like using the bishop on F8. I thought maybe the knight on E8. I like the bishop coming to G5, Justin, what you said. Rook takes A7 on the agenda.
Yeah, this was almost necessary because knight at B6 was coming anyway.
Right.
Now at least he can get a pawn for the queen.
Take the rook here.
Yeah, take the rook and rook at A7. And knight at B6.
There is a knight coming to B6, perhaps?
I think king C7 would be okay there.
Well, he's definitely done it.
Yeah, scary, but not yet decisive. But white's making some progress.
Bishop D8.
And white has more than a minute extra, which is probably helpful.
Huge.
Bishop D8, I agree with. You've got to
Bishop
cover C7.
D8.
He's put the queen there.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
You're
That
dropping the
lady's
house.
clearing her voice.
Knight D8.
Knight D8.
Still okay. I think he has time for rook C8 or rook A8 next move.
I just thought where Jasugi played pawn at D5, bishop at G5 really suited his style. It just kept him active. You know, if you can clear H4, get some trades. but he's hanging tough here.
Yeah, take on C8 and G7, and we might be looking at another 150 times.
I worked out that game took 16 minutes.
Wow.
3+2 game.
We're joking, everyone, for those of you who missed it. In the first leg of this 3-game series, we saw 100 and what was it? 60 move games?
151 moves.
151. And the fortress is just hilarious. It just kept, it was like a virus. It just kept recycling itself. It was nice. Well, that's one of the really most powerful pawn structures defending the king I've witnessed in a
some
Crazy
tricks
House
though
game.
with rook takes d5 or in a later stage. You have to watch out.
Watch out for
Everything-
smother mates too. Why not now?
Yeah, good point.
Smother mates. Oh my.
I was just thinking when the rook vacated G7.
Okay, that is a rook that was hanging. And take e7. He didn't take e7. Wow.
Oh, Jasugi's in good shape in the
He's playing
time
this brilliantly,
scrambles. He's on point in the time scrambles at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like catask played too fast. He had a minute. He should take some time there, I think. I think it was the right moment to take some time.
That's
Jasugi, the Jasugi move, point at e3. He's looking
this
for that
is very
counter attack.
strong. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm encouraged by the way Jasugi is playing today. And even one of the last 3 games, I felt could have gone Jasugi's way.
This was very nice. The pawn to e3 was amazing.
Look at the turn on that.
Yay.
Resource.
How
What a
did
turnaround
Jasugi
that was.
turned
Really
that one
nice.
around. That was classic Jasugi
Bishop
counter
at
attack.
H4, pawn at E3 instantly.
Right. That's what I was thinking too, Neil. It's like, whoa.
That's like a snap call in poker. It's like
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
Queen H4 call, like pawn at E3 straight
Like,
away.
Yeah, but the
Wow.
catask invited that. He had a minute and a good position and played just as fast as Jasugi. That's not how you want to be doing things.
Right. I was punished very, very often by a 6-time US champion, Walter Brown. And Walter Brown was really renowned for getting into time trouble. He was often, seriously, it's not a joke, 12 moves to make in a minute and even less. And on 3 occasions, I tried to blitz him off the board. I lost all the games. You know, trying to match him when he was in time trouble was death. You had to take your time. And yeah, he was very famous for turning around completely lost positions with no time on his clock. Whoa.
Okay, that's
I'm not
interesting
sure
one. Bishop
about
takes
this.
H6. Yeah, I mean, White kind of made a decision to structurally keep what he had, and
Well, what do you do, for example, here, Justin, have to say bishop f4. The idea is I want to put a bishop on e3.
E3.
yeah,
After it
I was
gets
looking at knight
recaptured.
F4 with the same idea.
Similar ideas, right? So knight f4, you're going to have to put a knight on g4, and then I get to get rid of my bishop on c8. So somehow maybe that's useful. But okay, catask is thinking about it.
yeah.
At least it's something, this sacrifice on h6, because everything in this opening went black's way. Trading the c6 knight for the d3 bishops is very good.
Mm-hmm. He has done this knight g4, but again, I'm thinking black's for choice. I take on g4 take and put a bishop on g7, and I'll just kind of like the resulting positions for black.
Yeah, I might start with bishop at g7. So if the knight ever gets removed, you have pawn at h3 supported by the c8 bishop.
Right. Okay, that's an interesting point, because one of the things when in my practice with the computer is development and timing and getting your pieces in the game. And this bishop on c8, I feel I want to get rid of it, and you like keeping it so that you have a pawn on h3 supported.
Yeah,
I see.
But okay, he went for this
different.
Now, if you're really brave, you take h3.
Yeah, I think you got to take h3. I think you got to take h3.
Oh, well, you guys have a suicide streak in you.
You either call a bluff or you don't, and if not, then what's the plan for white?
This isn't a bluff,
but true. But you probably start with bishop at e5, and then you take the knight on the next move, I think.
So bishop at e6?
Because then you have some more squares covered.
Bishop at e6, do you mean?
No.
Or white?
No, e5.
Bishop at e5. Sorry. Okay.
He wants to put
bishop at e5.
So let's say pawn at f6, and then you take the knight.
You take.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would probably play in that situation bishop to e6 and leave your bishop. Okay, he's done it. Whoa. I was for sure thinking bishop to e6 in almost every case there. That was a surprise for me, f5. Okay, he does have a threat of bishop
priority
to
is g4, but then there's also bishop takes e3 to cover.
Right.
Yeah, and if you play pawn f3 or something, then bishop takes e3 opens up knight f4. Right. King g2 seems right.
King g2 seems right. Okay, that's interesting, because it does encourage knight h4.
Then maybe king f2, and you hold on to everything.
Greed, man's noblest.
Oh, yeah. We can call you a pawn grabber. I'll be a piece grabber.
Okay. Okay, but again, I feel like white's on the edge here. He's walking. Gosh, he's.
Yeah, this I don't believe. Bishop takes e3.
The bishop takes e3 was strong there. I felt.
Followed by e5.
FG. Yeah, but f takes g4 instead of king takes h4. You used to play e5 anyway, huh?
E5 check, discover check. Ooh, this one. Still have a feeling that white's king is too open.
Was rook takes f3 horrible for a reason?
That was the natural move, I think.
He was going to recapture the rook, though, guys, and then just start feeding the position. Here I'm expecting. Oh, I wanted to say I was expecting bishop to h5 to keep the g4 open in case we win a rook with a move like g2. But bishop g4 covers h3 in some cases.
Catask so good at not allowing counterplay. I mean, I just don't see any way for Jasugi to
win.
Right? Nice. I like the inclusion of this move g2 a lot.
Yeah, take on f3. Rook takes f3.
Yeah. Bishop takes.
King takes.
Rook f1 check.
Oh, you gotta go.
King g2 or. Okay, I will play rook.
So king takes f3, it was rook at f1 was the resource there. So bishop at h3 to prepare f1 with an x-ray defense.
Bishop f3 check.
So now is bishop takes e3 not lethal enough? Because queen takes e3, pawn at g2, king f2. I mean, this is the only way white can actually hang in there and try to win is try to defend.
Mm-hmm. But I think this was very clever by Catask to keep the bishop on h6. The bishop h6 has kind of been like the main defender, if you will.
Oh, yeah, nice attack. Nice attack.
That was beautiful. Rook f1. Oh, the move c5. Wow, very, very skillful.
I think Catask made that look easier than it was actually.
It was difficult, yeah. for sure.
I think
That's probably
Jasugi could have
why,
challenged more as well. I think bishop at e5 was the answer on c5. You need to start making counter threats and make black play some stuff to defend them, and then it's easier to defend.
Would anyone take back the move king takes h3 and play something else?
I think you're already in trouble there, I think.
Yeah.
But again, there, like I suggested, bishop at e5, pawn at f6, and then take h3, I think is tougher for black to win.
And this is probably last game is probably why Jasugi is playing e4 more in the previous 20 games. Catask is just so good in these d4 structures.
Again, we see this strategy of trying to provoke the player to block with a pawn and get the pawn out of the hand.
So that there's no queen trade and pawn at h3 sort of stuff.
You're right. On the other hand, you're winning tempi with black, this pawn on c6 and this knight on d6.
Yeah, and it's always, even at high levels, sometimes you're not sure if you're gaining tempi or if your opponent's baiting you into putting your pieces onto the wrong squares, where white still has the two pieces in hand.
Right.
But I think black's pieces are placed okay here. It's still very free flowing.
Yeah. Question for me was h6. Here, when I see this counter demonstration with h3, I think, okay, but you have no pieces in your hand, and I don't believe it. For example, I'll take the rook and I'll put a rook on g3 with check.
Yeah, I was thinking knight g4 instead of pawn at h3, actually.
Just notice the threat of rook at h8 check, so you can't go h takes g2.
Yes, you can't. H takes g2, rook at h8,
good catch, Neil.
Pawn at g7, and knight at h6 mate. So maybe that's what Jasugi had in mind. Maybe not. I mean, even hg, if you didn't have that, bishop takes e7 looked okay. So
it's always a choice. Queen takes or bishop takes, both seem decent.
Yep.
I liked c5 instead of castling just because of this. Try to use the extra pawn.
King takes to avoid a rook g3 check and
yep, absolutely
capturing on h3 when white's king is so safe.
So okay, both players have some holes near their king. Hard to assess here who really has the upper hand. So
I like white. For me, I still like white. Maybe rook to g3. Give me the bishop so I can check on h6. Rook to g3.
So rook at g3, pawn at g4. There could be a sneaky knight d takes e4 at some stage, where you can't recapture because of a queen trade.
Speaking of sneaky, how do you like them apples? Pawn to g7.
I don't yet see what's wrong with taking. Because rook takes g4, you just take back, and in the end you have rook at g5.
Right.
Yeah, I thought you could have played rook at g3 without playing pawn at g7 because it was just as good, but you keep your pawn in your hand.
Right. But here his idea is clear. He wants maybe rook takes g4 if the knight moves, or knight h5.
Maybe knight takes e4 works here. That's critical.
Yeah, I was looking at it, but it's shaky because there will be a knight at f5 or knight at h5 coming in.
Yeah,
this is a really nice move. So you take on f6, take back, take on g4, take queen takes and queen g8, and you have both the bishop and the queen covering g7. This is a really nice way of dealing with it. Yeah, so he couldn't take g4 here.
I'm a little surprised by
classy.
that move, but Knight takes g4 is his idea.
Yeah, then you've got to be concerned about bishop takes g3, rook at g2, or pawn at g2. There's things to be concerned about. I really like the way Jasugi played the king h8. I think is a lovely move as well. It's very
So
resourceful.
surprising that the king is where it is now after king takes f8.
He just resigned.
Yeah, he was just
Great game,
like
guys.
blundering. I think he just blundered knight h6. I really think that was a mouse slip, and maybe he wanted knight h5.
Maybe he missed the d6 knight covering f7. Maybe he thought he was taking
Yeah.
knight takes f7.
Could be.
Good point. It was an accidental protection with knight d6. Knight d6 was intended to attack the bishop on c4, but the defense of f7 was appreciated.
It didn't seem resignable there. It nearly felt like just disappointment.
Was he hoping for a pre-move there with the queen h5?
Oh, you certainly don't see catask lose many quick games with one e4.
Who's mate in the World Championship final?
Hey.
Yeah, this is some theoretical line where you give up the queen.
Wow.
But you can also play bishop takes d5 instead of e takes d5.
I thought
It's also
bishop
interesting.
d5 was much more interesting because if you capture the bishop, then f6 is weak square because you have provoked g6.
And it turns out to be not as bad as it looks for black. That knight at f6 hole. Sorry, Clearcast, you were gonna say.
Yeah, black needs some black needs some good defensive moves along the way, but he gets very active very quickly. Bishop takes d5 in the opening, then knight takes d5, queen takes, and then you play bishop e6, and black has a lot of development.
I feel so compelled as a commentator to explain why like knight takes b3 isn't automatically played because it's just to the untrained eye everyone's screaming out what there's a free queen
And
This is the final. What's going on?
yeah. And it actually just puts another piece in white's hand, and in fact, you know, black doesn't gain anything by taking the queen early because white doesn't really want to move it. You could play queen a4 check but bishop d7 is there. If you move the queen anywhere else, then knight takes c2 is there. So in fact, it's an option for black to capture that queen on his terms.
Remarkable decision not to take the queen in that last moment, because now knight takes d4, pawn takes d4, knight e2. Black will be a pawn down and pawn to e6 will come. And another remarkable decision he didn't take on d4 as well. So for me, a bit of a surprise not to play knight takes d4 in that last position by white. Queen is valuable. we all agree.
Yeah, I think though it's a bit psychological too, you know. It's like, well, you're gonna take my queen sooner or later. I'm gonna leave it there. It's like, well, no, I'm not. And well, yes, you are. And it's just another piece in white's hand, because in this where we have all the pieces on the board, you know, a knight might be more useful for penetrating a position than a queen. In some cases, you can be forced to giving that queen back when you don't have anything else to use. It's interesting. We'll see how many moves the queen can be left on pre before it gets taken, or the option disappears.
Would anyone go h4 here?
No.
Yeah, I love it.
If you want feedback, let's snap it back. Call. I'll call you. Okay,
Yeah, this was the problem with knight takes d4.
Yeah, I didn't like taking
a problem. Why is this a problem? I'll put a knight in hand to f4, defend g2, and I'm still pressing f7, and well, that.
But you can see here, black is preferring to have a knight on h4 and just leave the queen on b3 where it was.
Okay, but again, why take on e6? Why not just take on g2 and play pawn f3 or something? Because now suddenly the bishop on c4 is active.
Yep.
Here, as white, I'm thinking of queen a3. The idea is to attack the e7 square.
Okay, that's interesting. And just recapture knight takes f4. Hold g2 together.
He's done it.
Nice spot.
He's done it. Usually I get this cheapo in once per broadcast, so I'll say it now. These guys are good. Wow.
That I don't understand. Bishop takes e6.
He's looking at the f3 square, Justin. He's going to sack his queen. He's going to play pawn to f3 after king to d1.
And then bishop at f1, I guess. Yeah.
He's done that too, Neil.
Yeah, but now there's queen d6 and
right? Queen d6.
Yeah.
I like that move.
Yeah, bishop at f1 I really didn't like. Taking the queen was, I think, called for here.
Yeah.
Problem is queen at e1 is made after
Exactly.
queen. That's
exactly
important
so.
to mention.
Yeah, even rook at e1 is made.
Was
You're
queen...
bishop d2, but you're on the back foot, I feel.
I thought queen takes a3 was a move there. After knight takes f8.
I think we're about to see it.
h7 and g8.
Rook at h7 is the mate. Sorry, I missed that one. Knight takes... Yeah, that's a Jasugi special, that one. No.
We
So
saw
rook takes
now.
f8.
I think this has got to be crushing for...
Yeah. No, something went wrong here.
Queen back to e7. Ooh.
But rook e6 is not without merit here.
Absolutely. Rook to e6, queen to h5 check, I would offer.
Yeah, queen at h5, then pawn at g4. You gotta... I thought you
Yeah,
had to...
then I was going to hack it.
Hack it.
Hack it off.
Knight takes g4, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, this is
Pawn at
beautiful
g4
defense
still.
by catask. Wow. Well, now you take on c4 and take the knight on e5. Oh, wonderful, wonderful play there by black. Wow. Wow. That was good stuff, gentlemen. Wow.
So, yeah, I agreed with you, Zixon. You probably had to take that queen, because after queen d6, black's neutralized white's attack, and then still looking very good with the knight on g2 threatening queen at e1. Okay, so h3 and h6 played.
Yeah, but white got his... No, both got in their tempo, didn't they? Yeah. Okay, that was cool.
I went back and checked. It's +2 for white until bishop at f1. Bishop at f1 is -16. So bishop at f1 is the losing.
Yeah, you're right on there. Okay, so sometimes this is played with the white pawn still back on h2, defending g3. But maybe catask is fine with f takes g3 being recaptured, with castles and the f file being opened.
Right. Here, when I see the move bishop g7, I'm often inclined to take on e4 and put a knight on h5 as quickly as I can. I like winning the tempo.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if black should castle or put a bishop on to defend there, because the issue you have is sometimes if you put the bishop on, then knight d2, and then you can't defend your pawn on e4.
Exactly. Knight e5. Wow. Okay, if that works...
I really wish that first leg was just a warm-up and this was the real thing.
Yeah, this is close, isn't it?
So close now.
It's...
by 4, yeah.
It's funny that Jasugi's not going for the same d6, e6 setup that he did in the previous game. She can do against d4, e4. The funny thing is it's meant to be worse against e4. But he won that game quickly.
And he's doing a great job in the opening, I think, in this leg.
Yeah, I like the overall strategy of just mixing it up every game, playing something different.
Yeah.
I remember the final where Jasugi99 was a challenger against Oppo and Jasugi got like the first 6 games in the first match, and then quite similar. It's like, you know, the match fitness of the challenger from coming through the candidates is there. Myself, I can say when I was defending against Oppo and being the challenger, I felt sort of the same, that you come to that first game just with a different mindset because you're ready to play 10 games and play them well. So okay, let's discuss this. Knight takes g3, knight takes f7 was unexpected for me.
Yeah, how
very
healthy was
quickly.
that? I thought just taking back was more than fine. This seems
Taking
I
back.
think this is good for white, right? With all the holes on the light squares.
Well, here his idea is rook f7, bishop f5, and a bishop will drop to e6. So he's got play, and if you take on e6, well, still lots of light square weaknesses over there. Wow, he did it.
Did you take with the queen here or the pawn?
I think queen.
Queen.
Okay, he's not even taking the bishop.
We trade queens.
We trade queens.
Okay, I think he's planning bishop f1, queen e6 check, or is that asking too much?
I think it is.
Could be bishop at f7. Might be required there.
F7.
Because if king h7, pawn at g6, king h8, knight at f7 looks mating.
Precisely. Oh, instantly.
I think queen at e6, bishop at f7. Catask just wants to say I have less holes than white. So I think knight takes d8 maybe.
2 minutes.
Simply bishop
15 seconds.
Yeah. Bishop at g6 instead. Yeah.
I think it's recognizing that the light squares are very weak.
Yep.
It's very important.
Well, we definitely got to that point. we went far
now
beyond.
Now you wonder if queen at g8 is mating.
No, you don't take on f7. Rook takes g8, knight at f7, king h7. Just don't take.
Yeah. Okay.
Bishop d6 now.
I would have gone.
This is, however, tricky.
Yeah.
The knight at f6 is okay. I know. Is there something?
You should play bishop d6 there, threatening mate on h2, just to make white place the piece.
Exactly. Yeah. I agree with that wholeheartedly. Knight f6. Whoa.
Bishop d6 looked like a big opportunity for black. Well, a few minutes back.
Yeah.
I completely
knight at e5 looks very dangerous.
Pawn takes h7, or is that?
No. Knight at e5.
Right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, particularly with 3 seconds to go, knight at e5 is not fun to deal with.
No. Check on h5 or g8?
Just check from a distance here.
Yeah.
Because you're mainly looking at forcing moves when you got 3 seconds, right? He's going to check me somewhere.
Yep.
And queen comes to f5 check, actually, in that final position, too. So that was a disaster. From the point of view of the time clock, too, right? I mean, he was 2 minutes down.
Yeah, I think what Andrea pointed out, that bishop at d6 there to make white waste a vital piece, was missed opportunity.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it was made in 8. I just checked with the computer. Oh well. Queen at g8 was in 8.
We're taking on c2 here, aren't we?
Yes. I'm a little bit worried because Catask is bashing out the moves, and they played something very similar in the previous series. I'd expect Catask to be the one to be more prepared.
But in that game, he didn't play queen e2, I think. So hopefully Jasugi looked up the opening theory here.
I think both players are okay here. Both have something to play for.
So, whoa.
I looked at this with the computer, just analyzing the 21st games, and I think White is doing great here, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm a little bit hesitant. It's like
It's a very
call
sharp
that.
position, but I think White
Yes.
is doing just fine. And apparently,
So help me
catask-
out so help me out here for just a moment. So I go knight e5, queen e5. The knight drops to e6, and I'm threatening moves like queen d1 and b1. So knight e5, queen e5, knight e6.
So,
I'm assuming you're giving me a check.
Yeah, bishop b5 check castles would get white out of dodge.
Yeah.
Okay.
So b1 queen, interesting. The knight takes e6, let's say pawn at e7 or pawn at e6, and black saying,
Right.
well...
Block with the bishop, perhaps, Justin, to keep the pawn.
You
you
take
got
on
to...
c6 and play bishop b3, maybe? No, queen, knight f3.
Queen c
knight
takes
b3 is
b3 then is hard.
So here I'm looking at
watch out for knight
ooh,
d3.
No, I think you keep some defense, yes. It's actually worthwhile pawn at e6.
yeah.
Because
you
your
like
your
this?
big threat is queen c takes d1, as Clearcast mentioned, and knight at c2 is something to worry about.
Your
If
big
I was
threat
a
is knight at
computer,
D3
would I
check.
play? Sorry, if I was a computer, would I play bishop at d3 here? Queen takes d1, queen takes d1, king takes d1, knight at b2, king c2, queen at d1, king takes b2, rook at b1, king a3. You're out of pieces, and I'm safe, and I have mating attack.
But bishop at
I like
b3,
bishop
queen
b3.
c takes b3. I think.
No,
But then
d3.
bishop at
not-
d3,
not-
bishop at d3.
d3. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
That
bishop at
avoids
d3 is
the
just knight at d3, queen takes d1. But bishop at d3, you trade on d1, put the knight on b2, and play king c2, and claim that with just a rook and a queen, you're not mating, and then my counterattack is deadly. But maybe you just take on c6 at some point. But you probably survive it, yeah?
Mm.
Yeah, I agree. So I'll try to draw that out. Bishop at d3, and it was capture, capture, capture. Knight at b2, king c2, queen at d1 takes, rook at b1, king a3.
Something
I like the
similar
bishop at
to-
d3 much better than this. Because the bishop on d3 is a much better defender than that knight he just put on the board.
From a human perspective, I like this move, I think. Because it defends c2, you can take with the king now.
I like the statement. If I was a computer, would I do this? And it's like, but I'm not a computer,
Taking on
so...
c6 is okay, right? For black.
Just to get the show started. I'm taking on c6, guys. I'm thinking black all day.
Some back rank check and then take on c6, yeah? Or this immediately.
Yeah, I like it immediately as well because okay, this is like a hope and a prayer, but not even close. Because queen
Queen at b3, rook at
check.
b1. Yeah.
Yeah, he's missed queen a4 check.
Knight c2.
Knight c2.
Sorry,
Good resource.
I was premature in my fat lady sings. Wow, that is so shocking that I'm not winning on the spot here. But okay.
Are you not knight at e3?
Knight at
Bonnie?
e3. F takes e3. What's the idea with knight at e3?
Knight at f2 and then queen takes c2. Unless you play king d2, then I can at least take the rook.
Maybe this king
Oh, but
e1
it's-
also.
But
though.
king e1
Queen
even.
Yeah, but then you take c.
Whoa.
Oh, there's. Okay, yeah, never mind.
Yeah, then queen at f.
He's missed
What's
knight
this?
takes b1. Oh, he dropped. How many pieces did he just drop on that?
What
trade?
happened there?
He
dropped down.
dropped. He forgot that his rook was hanging on b1. Oh my goodness! Now he's just lost. I mean, he's down 2 queens.
Yeah,
It
we
was very
were.
precise there. Just instead of putting the pawn on b3, when maybe a rook takes b3 is a problem, but pawn at a2, then you put it on b5, and now he's just cruising towards the victory.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's just a little more aggression there. Well, then all the viewers and the commentators can feel at least they're not the only ones capable of making mistakes. Even catask can blunder a rook here and there.
Right.
Do you just take on c6 here and say you don't have enough to play rook takes b1?
I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Maybe queen at g3 was more precise than bishop a3, just taking the opportunity to hit g7 and c7.
Yeah, even there, queen at g3.
Before he put the knight on d5, but this is clearly winning for Jasugi.
Well, he's making black think he's in here with a shout, though, right? I mean, some strange moves, I must say.
Certainly be demoralizing for white to lose this one.
Yeah.
Like what?
Yeah, rook f1's fair. I would have put a queen on c2 before.
Okay, but I mean,
this
he's
is
still
okay.
got 2 queens in hand. I mean, wow, that's just so much.
I lost track of the number of times I lost against the computer with 2 queens in the hand.
No, this is dangerous for white, no?
Right?
Because there's light square weaknesses.
Then you take on d3, take on c4, opening up a d3 square.
This is starting to look ugly, I think.
Well,
queen takes a7 is okay.
I think.
Bishop d7? No. Queen takes.
That's nice because if pawn at b5, you block off blacks.
Yeah, you want to keep that b5 open.
And then now you get to grab c4, which is critical.
Whoa! What was that, mate?
Rook d8 maybe has been a forced mate.
Yeah,
okay.
Nice. Queen takes c7.
I think rook d8 was.
It was.
You can even take b8 here.
Easiest.
Yeah, there's.
Ooh, knight a3.
No, bishop takes a3 still covers.
Oh, so. Missed. Good.
Oh,
Then maybe.
That's like snap call, like.
Thinking rook c1, bishop at e3.
Same idea, yeah. You can save the rook.
He has to do something. Rook h8 is.
He went the right way.
Oh, good defense by white here.
Truly impressive.
King take.
Now take and king a4, yeah.
Yeah.
And rook
Now
Now go for it. Get him.
Yeah.
Oh, the bishop covers h6.
Oh no!
Oh no!
Oh no!
Knight f6.
Knight at f6 was the way.
Was still winning here.
Of course.
Oh no!
Oh my gosh! Oh my god!
Knight at a1, mate.
Knight a1, mate.
Knight a1. Knight a1.
A1.
Knight a1.
No,
Oh.
he missed it.
Rook c1.
What?
What?
Oh my god!
Oh, pressure game, high pressure game. White's running out to e2 now.
What?
He's not going anywhere.
Queen c6.
Back to d3, queen c4.
Got him. Okay, that was a
that's
game that
demoralizing.
could easily have
Very
gone.
demoralizing.
That's demoralizing. Knight at f6 was the move instead of knight at h6.
Yeah. It was funny because you had said knight a3 check, and Justin, you instantly pointed out the bishop defended the a3. Then on the other side, the knight on h6.
Yeah, got missed.
Defended by the bishop. It's like, no. Oh. The howler there.
But this is lovely to see the games go this way and get decided in time scrambles. You see misses and seesaw. Wangster.
I have to say, Jasugi normally, if it wasn't such a big pressure match, he's the one player who would never miss that sort of thing.
Yeah, he is. I just acknowledge donation from Wangster, $10, and I do need to also note out an entire sleeve donated $50 at the end of the last stream. So thanks again for the support. Funds all go to the prize fund for next year for the Crazyhouse World Championship.
How are we doing on that score, Justin? How much have we raised?
It is 852. We're approaching 50%, so it's lovely. I must say about 600 of it has been effectively redonated by the candidates that have played this year. It's lovely because it's a great tradition that we can have this and keep it going. So thanks, Zixon here in the chat has already redonated his prize this year. So what do we think here, guys? Fairly even. There's
definitely even. In my
I think
view,
F5 could make sense here.
I'm not a fan of bishop to D6 by white there. I was thinking knight to E2. I mean, student body right. Bring all the guys over to the king side. I'm thinking bishop to G5. Oh, sorry, he played F4.
Now we see one advantage of king H1 to avoid knight takes D4, bishop at E3 tricks.
Right.
Yep.
I think black is okay here, but playing this kind of position against catask is tall order. This is really his home territory. He's extremely good at these kind of positions where he keeps finding useful moves and he plays fast, and this kind of position where he knows what to do. He wins a very disproportionate amount of games from these kind of positions. He instantly rook c1, finds a useful move right immediately, winning 10 seconds and not making his position any worse in any way.
Right.
Now knight d5, and yeah,
he's
so hard
D6.
to play against catask.
He's hitting d6 and
would you take it and go pawn e5?
I'm thinking I would actually prefer.
I think he's gone into calculation. No, it's we'll just make gradual progress.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, now he gets to take on d6 and put a pawn on e5 with the queen on e2. This is what I mean. He keeps finding constructive moves.
Yeah, I like it. Another move I would like if I were white here is to go knight c7 and to take on d5.
d5 and then f5.
Correct. Yeah. Thank you, Neil. That was exactly what I was thinking as well. Yeah. Bishop to g5. Wow. Okay. Bishop f5 is as an idea. G7.
Yeah, but here you can put something on g6
Bishop
or g7, and it's not so.
Bishop at g6. Yeah, pawn at g6 is probably coming.
But he doesn't have a pawn, so he has to put a bishop. But even so, maybe bishop.
Oh no, I meant if black plays bishop at g7, white can put a pawn at g6.
No. You take on h7, and you have to put something on the white squares. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, he defended g6 before g7 there.
Yeah, the white squares, because bishop takes h7 was a deadly threat. So
interesting move. Rook to g3, threatening g7 mate. He's trying to encourage something. Here I'm taking on h7.
Frank G. Gomez donating 2022, and also Brothfish 1682. A few donations coming in, very nice. Thank you, much appreciated by the players and the community. So
yeah, I want to take on h7 here and put a pawn on g6 and just trade everything and get the king naked.
Right. I also like throwing in rook c6 if I could.
I think it's a good move. Queen takes f5. Try to neutralize two minor pieces right there. Knight at e6. Just keep holding g7.
Agreed. But here, I think the problem is you've got a lot of pieces in hand, but will you ever get a chance to place them on the board?
I will know, but we'll just think about living the next few moves first, and then see what comes up on the horizon.
Ooh, that was a good move too.
Yeah. Bishop at g4 next.
That was a very good move. I like that move a lot. I'm thinking rook c6, but he didn't play it.
Yeah, Jasugi.
Go rook h5, maybe.
He's preparing pawn at g4 here, possibly.
Take the knight on c6. Come on.
Catask is thinking how to collect pawns. That's the piece he really needs. Then he'll sack on h5. But he needs
You
a
take
pawn
on
first.
c6 and take twice on each file here, and then put a bishop on g7.
That kind of thing. Okay, he didn't put the knight on e5. He put the knight on e6.
Then you can play
So
rook
that-
a7 here, so that when a bishop gets captured, you get an X-ray onto g7 and another defensive piece. That's resourcefulness.
Like that horrible rook a7 in the Slav in regular chess, yeah.
Here we go, rook a7. That's
There we go.
yeah.
Just
Take
as
one of your
advertised.
bishops, and I get another defender on g7. That's lovely.
Well, I'll put a bishop on e5 in this exact moment. If I
Yeah,
was
but you can
in
put the rook
white
on
shoes.
f7 so that you're still covering g7.
Yeah, but the
No,
bishop
that's
on
mate on
e5
c6.
is
Oh
no, you get knight g6. So bishop at e5. I think you can play.
Pawn at g7, yeah.
Yeah, you could play pawn at g7.
that move. Okay, he's hoping for bishop f8. And okay, he did open up the d4 square, but why? No, I like bishop e5 a moment ago. I thought that was really juicy.
He might leave it there. Maybe rook g7 is enough to defend on its own. You try to counterattack here.
Queen h2 immediately.
Because
I
black
would
doesn't
think
get
so.
as many. I thought bishop at g4 maybe.
Well, again, bishop to e5 now.
As Yasu would say, lifting the kimono with f7 check.
Yes, exactly. Ooh, knight f5. That was huge. That's a killer
No.
blow. That's killer. There's no
Yes, that's mate.
no recovering. Yeah,
He just missed that completely.
yeah. Knight
Oh,
f5
that's a
is
shame.
killer.
What happens when you're defending for the whole game? So
Yeah.
much pressure, so little time.
I thought, yeah, maybe bishop at g4 instead of pawn at g4 and get a queen back without being mated immediately may have been okay.
I must admit I haven't looked at this line in a long time, but why doesn't he play knight c3 on move 4 in this opening?
Well, it's
The idea is queen takes d4, bishop e3. You get very quick development.
yes, that one.
People have done that against me as well. Clear cast.
Yeah. I like to play that, so that's why I asked. Maybe there's a
maybe you played it
station
against
I should
me.
Isn't this just bad for white?
Was it so bad last time with queen e2? Well, the opening part was fine.
Yeah, I think this looks horrible for white. With the pressure on the
What?
e-file and
My goodness. Pawn to h6.
Can you take g7 here? What's stopping
King
white from
F1.
taking? Unless it's theoretically worse, and catask knows like the pawn at
pawn
h3 is
mating
there's a
threat.
mate.
It's
I think
scary
Catask will
when
end
he
this with
bangs
3
these
minutes on the
out.
clock.
Yeah, he really banged that out really fast. It makes me think that this is prep.
So if g takes h8, you've got h takes g2, king takes g2. I think queen g4 could be a key move, and then, but then maybe bishop
There's
at
also
g3
a-
is okay to defend f2.
There's a knight to h4 check in that line too.
Yeah, but you might want the knight for g4. So if g takes h8, h takes g2, king takes g2, knight at h4 check,
Knight
king
h4.
takes f2,
Pawn
and
to
you have two
f2
pawns,
check.
pawn f2, and then you've got enough, haven't you? Because you've got bishop h3 coming in. If king
Exactly.
g3, queen g4 mates,
Right.
yeah, and if king
And the
e1, pawn
problem
f2,
is
king
there's-
f1, bishop h3, yeah.
308 on clock of catask. So if you're Jasugi here, you think.
Yeah, but I
okay.
think catask knows a force mate here, like what we just said, yes, because here
Yes,
king takes f2,
yeah.
pawn e3, so you may have to go to g3 first, queen g4, king takes f2, then pawn at e3, you can at least play bishop takes e3.
On
D
your
takes
Queen
T2,
g2 is
I
just
have
mating
queen
after
g2
queen
is
g4.
mate.
Oh, sorry,
It's
yes.
mate.
No,
Yeah.
this is mated then.
Yeah. I thought it might have been just prep because
Yeah.
Catask just played it like I got this, and that was for me bad news.
Yeah, because the key move here is bishop h3, where you just get that one extra diagonal piece required.
Right.
So king e1, pawn f2, king f1, bishop h3, pawn at g2, bishop takes g2.
Neat.
So maybe we'll see knight c3 and move forward next game.
Better.
Yeah.
Nice. Catask is running away with it,
Yeah,
guys.
9-4.
He just dropped 5 in a row.
He just wears you down. Like I feel like both first and second leg, like the first 4 to 6 games feels very balanced, and then he just wears you down. And
I thought Jasugi was doing better in the first 5 or 6 games, actually.
yeah, I thought.
Then all of a sudden, bam, 5 games in a row.
I thought Jasugi in game 3 or 4, if he won another game there, he could have put Catask off balance. Because when Catask is in his groove, it's very difficult to put off. But he can make mistakes when he's feeling under pressure. But when you're up 9-4, the ship's feeling fairly steady. It's hard.
Yeah.
It's also an opening thing. Jasugi's being forced to play inferior lines because he doesn't. Normal stuff he's not able to play. I feel like he's trying things that he's not really comfortable with, and a lot of it is coming down to Jasugi not really having a way to deal with his white games in the opening. And that's why Catask is running away with it, because then all the focus is on the white openings, and then it's hard to play the black games as well because you wasted too much energy already.
And we're gonna see a patent.
Knight takes f5. Yeah.
Justin Lee queen sacrifice. He did it.
Doesn't even feel like a queen sacrifice.
Having more trouble equalizing with the white pieces.
Yes, I think.
Having trouble equalizing, yeah. Well.
I already like this for white. I was
yes.
I was not thinking knight at b2. I was looking at how to avoid knight takes f5.
Yeah, me too. I really like this for white as well.
Could you take him on d3 a lot of times and just sacrifice the piece and then play pawn e4 and try to keep the initiative?
Yeah, that was one of the ideas, possibly. Or just bishop takes d3 and bishop g4 to, avoid
Knight
this.
d2 was so slow.
I just feel strategically you're giving Catask safe king targets, and this is his bread and butter kind of grinding position. So bishop at b3 is interesting. I think maybe he's just preparing bishop takes d1, bishop takes d1.
Or bishop takes d5.
You don't want to take back with the rook.
Yeah, bishop takes d5.
I was actually thinking that he was going to play something like knight to h5 just to challenge whatever you're doing, and I'm going to take on g7. Looks, or maybe even bishop f4, but bishop b3 is a good move.
Yeah, the problem here is for black that if you want to try to defend your position, and you have to use the heavy pieces, and as soon as white gets a rook or a queen, then the attack will crush through. It's very hard to defend.
Exactly. Here, I think I'm recapturing the bishop fairly quickly. And again, I'm just thinking that knight takes g7, knight takes h6 one day is just going to be terrible.
It's going to be a model game for the textbooks about minor pieces versus major pieces.
Knight h4 comes as well, maybe.
Now d5 is just falling.
Nice. Bishop b3, and wow.
Do you play something like rook at g6 here? Rook at g6?
Yeah, I was about to say, can you say safe white king?
Yeah.
Rook at g6, I take and go knight takes h6. And I threaten pawn at g7, knight e6 check ideas later.
Yeah.
But if you're catask, do you not play bishop at h5 here?
No.
Yeah, bishop
you
at
play
h5.
H2.
No, bishop at
normal
h5.
H3. H2,
I'm surprised he
H3.
took, because I think this gives Jasugi something to play for. You have now d3 as a target. That knight on f4 was hitting d5. I'm not saying it's great for black, but
for aesthetic
winning,
reasons,
of course.
aesthetically speaking, leaving the rook on g6 was better. Bishop h5, I appreciate. I also like pawn to h3 and just saying, okay, your turn, have fun.
Okay, so he said g6. What are you gonna do about it? I'm gonna come crashing.
Bishop c5. Bishop c5.
Yeah.
Good moves.
Or a3.
Huh? Yeah. What you were saying, Zion, that you just
that's tough.
plays a lot of
very
touches
tough.
very quickly. That was well done. Awesome. Awesome.
No. I'm hoping Jasugi won't play knight c3 because I'm sure Catask knows that very well.
Bishop f5.
But if he does, there will be a very wild game, so it will be good for us if they go there. But okay, just a French line now.
Right, at least the player's on the queen side. He's not going to get mated with theory.
Exactly.
I must say, I'm not a fan of bishop d3. Never was in these types of positions. I don't like those double pawns. Bishop takes d3 and another bishop comes to g6, so that black's king is so safe and he's threatening d3.
So Catask got punished a couple of times for castling in this sort of position. I have a feeling he's not going to be so hasty in making that decision this time.
Very different approach here by black, I must say.
You can feel that Jasugi just lost his confidence. Now he's playing this opening that got him in really bad positions in the first leg. White is already not so good here, I think. Knight f4.
I just feel black's got into this opening without much of a challenge. Yeah, it's not decisive yet, but you know, there's h5, h4. There's good placement of the pieces. And sometimes in Crazyhouse, you're like just trying to get out of the opening with black.
Right.
It's a good thing to note for people who are playing French. If you can play h5, h4 without much problems, you are doing very well as a general rule of thumb, I'd say.
Agreed.
Chess Guy 9,333, $10.08 donation. Thank you very much. Okay, so we've had a piece sacrifice for two pawns here, but the momentum is huge on the king side.
Yeah, the threat of f4 really is.
Or even queen takes g5 and knight h3. Minor pieces show again.
I like it. Queen on d8 takes g5 and knight h3 gets two pieces that are very naked. Do you have that expression in Swedish? Buck naked? Buck naked?
No.
Naked.
In Dutch, in Dutch is poedelnaakt, like the dog.
Poodle.
That's the dog with a lot of hair, right? And so when it gets shaven,
buck naked, poodle naked.
Buck naked. Huh? Yeah, exactly.
Nice. Okay, the last great act of defiance. Knight takes f7.
As soon as white puts something on g5, black just takes and forks on h3.
Exactly. I like this move f4 a lot. It was telegraphed. Ooh, he didn't play queen g5.
Queen g5 is a Zwischenzug.
Yeah, I'm with you, Neil, on that one. Boy, that my eyes just went 5-alarm fire, queen g5. But okay, this is still overwhelming.
And I
think,
guess the
for-
issue is what can white do to stop queen g5 here next move
Exactly.
anyway.
Nothing.
Well, he's just tried that move.
Okay, queen g5 here, then black
Can't
doesn't
take on E3.
black doesn't have to take on e3 too quickly in case the f file opens, but
But then you have knight G3 check.
yeah, everything's on black's terms here though.
Okay, then you and bishop
Sure,
to E4.
knight at g3
Yeah.
was there, so
Yeah, bishop to e4 now is.
Come on, have some fun. Pawn at G2.
Pawn at G2, mate. Yeah, maybe.
Neil's been agitating for
Action.
berserk mode. You got to go berserk every now and then just to remind yourself why we call it Crazy House.
it's a commentator on the sideline just saying, "Come on, take some risk here. We need the scoreline
This is more like Control House rather than Crazy House.
Right? Knight G3 check there also was. Ooh.
I think catask could have taken a half a minute there and calculated all the way to mate. I don't think it was that hard.
No.
Pawn at
I
G2.
agree.
E takes f2 here is a logical continuation, and
Most definitely. E takes.
maybe you're looking at bishop takes d5 if that's an issue. So he's defending d5. Always very safe, catask.
I was looking at knight at G3
chess.
check and H takes G3, opening up the H file. Also the F2 square.
Yeah, well, you're about to see knight G3 coming. I guess not. Oh, oof.
You could extend it.
Well, what we're seeing here is the we're seeing the result of the Jasugi not finding anything in the FXC4 line that was so successful for catask yesterday, because not being able to play that line means he's forced into these lines that are difficult and he's not so comfortable in them. If he had a solution for the FXC4 line, we would never be seeing these games, these runaway games where Jasugi is white.
So we're talking about E4, knight F6. E5,
Yeah, or
D5.
this, or in this, it depends on the move order, but this structure, exactly. If he could play that, he wouldn't have to go into these horrible positions.
Right.
So early pawn sack here. What's this about?
Castle.
So focus, I think.
Catask is wondering themselves.
Giving away odds.
Wow.
But this is some kind of theoretical ideas I've seen before, a sack on d5, but I don't
I don't believe this.
I don't believe it yet, because
Yeah, knight F6.
bishop
Yeah,
takes
stuff like
Pawn
b7.
at
Maybe.
H2 check is an idea.
Check on. No, check on B5, guys. Is that something?
Queen at b5.
Yeah.
Maybe knight at d7. Just
Okay,
cover
that's what
e5.
was-
Just cover e5.
Yeah, that's kind of what I wanted you to do, though, was to take a knight out of your hand. I was thinking that takes away your H2 check ideas.
That's okay. You took a queen out of your own hand at the same time.
True. To win a pawn. Yep. Well, the alternative: bishop takes b7, castle, pawn to h6. It's not exactly fierce.
I think bishop takes b7, maybe rook d8. Let's preserve the rook.
d8.
You could keep the king. Keep the king in the center. You don't have to. I mean, bishop on e5 is covering g7 nicely. So he's gone with your idea. Yeah, so queen at b5.
I can't say I want to take credit for it, Justin. I mean, I'd like to share that with the commentators. We took a queen out of our hand.
Well, I mean, your
Whose
move and
idea
my
was
move,
that anyway?
your move and my move have come up on the board. So you can throw in another line here and say, "Hey, these guys are good, right?" I mean,
Yeah, right. Yeah, it only works so often, you know. It's like with my niece and nephew, you know. I can't read the same story to them, bedtime stories anymore. They've caught on to me. Wow. Okay. I've got a feeling Black is rubbing his hands in glee here. Castles takes on d7, bishop e4.
Castle's pawn on h6, and then you have to move the knight on f6. But it's very interesting.
Right, because of knight to e7, threat of check. So I'm thinking castles. If you take on d7, I'll take on b7 and put a bishop on e4, threatening mate. So castles pawn to h6, knight to g4 threatens mate on h2, right?
Yeah. And then the question, can you take the knight on g4?
Right. I suspect you have to. Ooh. Okay, he's doing it kind of in a sly way. Now you can't take on h2. You have to move your king. Bishop can come to e4 check.
Yeah, I'm not sure we can make use of the diagonal.
Now you can also play knight e4. Now you don't only have to play knight g4, you can also play knight e4 now. So let's say castle's pawn at h6, you have knight e4 now because you're threatening knight takes f2.
Yeah, and also a couple of pawns. You can have ideas of bishop e4 and then take f3 and then pawn at g2 and knight h4. And then there's takes h4 and then you can back rank mate since you have enough pawns.
Exactly.
You need to
close. It's close. You probably need another couple more pawns.
I think he's got just the idea you mentioned, Clearcast. So we're expecting castles here.
Yeah, I would have liked to start with castles, but.
And now we're going to see this knight g4 business.
Yeah, so but now it's riskier because maybe there's queen e5. But maybe bishop takes f3 or queen at g1 mates, then I'm not sure.
I think so.
Nice. Okay. And
but now catask has a fortress chance here. Knight takes g8 and then rook at g2, and then how are you ever breaking through? This must be, but this should be too slow because now knight takes g8. You almost have to take back because of the threat to take on g7.
Right.
And then rook at g2, and it's okay. Never mind.
Well, is this the moment for Clearcast's idea? Bishop. Oh, sorry, the bishop.
No, rook takes b7 now has to be played. Or
yeah, going for the attack. This is good. Bishop takes g3. Sharp, very sharp. Knight at f2 doesn't work, you can just take h2. Oh no, knight g4, knight fg4.
Is pawn at f2 a move? Just pawn at f2. If you take on h2, there's knight at g4. Okay, maybe this is simpler.
Exactly. Well, here you have knight g8 though, right? Ooh, sorry.
Whoa, yeah, this is okay. It's very dangerous for either side. Now the rook's got the open file on g, so pawn at g2 is a real threat.
Is a killer threat, actually.
As rook takes b5, the whole board's on fire here.
I think Catask really missed the chance to play knight takes g8 and then rook at g2 and he's safe forever.
I think you made a wonderful point there, with that rook on g2 is an incredibly great defensive piece.
Yeah, Jasugi very dangerous here. Okay, we're down to the final seconds.
G2.
Whoa, queen
g5 had to be done. And queen's coming to g1 check.
And so that's aggressive and defensive all at once.
Nice move order.
Yeah, I think it's made as well.
Yeah, nice. So you want to capture that queen with, so rook at f2 first, or capture the queen now?
Oh, it's bad, right? Because you give a queen. So now knight at g6 is very dangerous. You come in with pawn at g7 and queen at f8.
Oh,
No, but this is
it's
mating for white
It's
anyway.
mating now. Yeah.
Yeah,
'cause
you
there was
trading
pawn
the
at
queen at
g7,
g1
queen
was
at
a
f.
big mistake. I'm sure he was winning before queen at g1.
I agree wholeheartedly. I think you made the point that catask is just wearing Jasugi down, and it's just the constant, rapid fire good moves that has caused this adoption.
Well, it's not yet an adoption, but the momentum is a big thing, and to be constantly so close and get disappointed,
Right.
That's really
Time after time.
really
Yeah.
wears you down. Then
Yeah.
it's like next game he's just bashing out the moves again, and you're like, come on, like give me a break.
Right.
It's like the first part of the series. Like, what do I have to do to win a game?
Yeah.
Right. By the way, I think the move knight d3 is an indication that now he's kind of groggy. I mean, knight d3 to defend the pawn on b2 while giving up the attack on the pawn on c6 as well as g6 is. There's a logic glitch there.
Knight takes c6 and then queen takes b2, knight ge2, and what's the problem?
Right.
For white. And now you have this typical position where black has a very nice fianchettoed bishop.
Right.
And unopposed bishop on c8, h3 diagonal. Black has everything.
Again, a logic failure there. And easy play at the moment for black. I don't think you want to take on e4 and play knight to c5.
No, you f3 will be exposed. White is okay here. It's just you get the feeling if catask doesn't have some fire near his king, he's just finding good moves, good resources quite easily.
But this is for me. This is a position where black's king is now so incredibly safe. It's like insulated, and I feel like it's too easy. The play for black here is too easy. Justin, let's say for example knight to f5 here, and you're on the back foot. You're just defending.
Yeah, black has the options here, but yeah, Jasugi is Jasugi. You still have to.
Yeah, I have to kill him. Bishop to g5. You have to play f4. You can't afford to block with a knight, and then bishop to h4. And I've weakened e4 egregiously.
Burpcow, $38.77 donation. They keep coming. Thank you.
Yes.
Burpcow, one of our candidates this year.
So guys, bishop to g5. How do you what do you play for white?
Knight d1.
Knight David 1?
Knight at d1.
f4, bishop h4 is horrible.
Yeah, but surely one of the knights to f4. I mean, knight at d1 is not the move these guys would play. I think now one of the knights would have gone to f4. I think.
Yeah, but takes a knight c4, and it's
exactly
you lose a pawn, a very important one.
Right.
It's a very interesting queen sacrifice instantaneously. Just leaving the queen on b6.
Yeah, and this is quite a common idea when either white or black has this fianchetto and this fortress set up. You just need to make trades on the board, and so whether it's a queen for a rook, it doesn't really matter. Black's looking for pieces, pawns to penetrate.
Yeah, in Crazyhouse, queens are not afraid of staring competitions on an open file.
Nice.
Let's say here, like, nice. Rook to d8 before playing bishop c8. Just taking his time with improving the position.
I'm really yeah, but bishop c8 is, sorry, that's probably one of his worst moves. Bishop takes c5 and knight to c4 would have been like instant. That's just death. Bishop c5, knight c4. I think Clearcast, you were just mentioning the same.
Yeah, maybe it's
idea.
missed that the knight on c4 is.
It's so powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah, precisely because after e3 falls, g2 falls, the bishop is still on the diagonal, unopposed.
Okay, he spotted it now. He spotted it.
He's back. He's back on track. Yeah.
Like, you even consider playing bishop at c1 here. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Because that e3 is so critical when it comes.
Wow.
So now pawn at h3.
Pawn h3.
Well, you're winning a pawn actually, because the c3 pawn is pinned to bishop on d2, and the e3 pawn is pinned to the knight on e2.
And the knight on c5 is hanging. Brilliant.
You can play knight takes d4 though, but.
By the way, he snapped that out instantly. It's like your call, Justin. Your poker call, I mean.
Yeah, so knight takes d4, queen takes c5. Looks like a progression here, so.
Yeah. Uh-oh.
Sugi's impressed.
Sugi commenting in the game chat, yeah.
What did he say?
Knight takes d4, what a monster. And then a smiley, surprised smiley.
Oh. Here he's looking at queen d4 and pawn to e2 as well. I mean, I'm sure there are other things that he has to worry about, but that would have my attention.
Yeah, at e2 coming.
Yeah, I mean, this is so easy, just back rank stuff. Queen d1.
Yeah, white's not dead, but definitely black is in the driver's seat. Material-wise, it's actually more or less even. Maybe white's down a pawn, but it's just a fortress setup on black side.
Bishop f1. Oof, that's a nice move. Also a good defensive move.
Yeah, I never feel it's over against Jasugi. Holding black's position here. And if I'm catask here, I feel like I want to win by not getting mated, even though, like, yeah, because that's how you can lose it against Jasugi. It's like when you just think you're home, and you take your eye off the road for just a moment. The bishop at h3 looks likely. We may even leave it. He's looking for a way to counter, but
Queen at f1 here, probably.
Oh.
Okay, so back rank is cleared on the. There he comes. Rook at b8, rook at a8, rook at e8. Stack them up.
Right. Rook to e8. Oh, he didn't play rook to e8. That had.
Yeah, he's got to do some defense. Ooh, rook at g4. Nice. No,
that's a good move
in
time trouble.
Yeah. Oh, it sure was. Rook to g3, queen h3. Rook to g4, queen f3. Oof. What a move.
I mean,
but he missed rook e8. Why didn't he play rook e8? Would that have saved him, Justin?
No direct threat.
No direct threat. I mean, and then if you did knight at c8, the queen could just move. So I think defense was okay there, but
I think Justin's right. Win by keeping the king safe first.
Defense wins championships, guys.
Well, look at this. We started today at 4-all with a very even feel to it, and this is so impressive that Catask has run away with this. I don't think Jasugi is playing bad.
No,
sure, there's a slight edge for Catask, you feel, but he's got to work for his wins. He's gone for the same setup here. Fianchetto, this is a favorite of his.
Jasugi actually made the comment after the first part of the series that he doesn't feel like he's playing any different to normal. He's just never come up against such strong opposition.
Right. I was about to say, I'm not a big fan in Crazyhouse of castling long. I always feel like I'm too tempy away from defending my king. Like it's just not, I'm always on the back foot when I've castled long in Crazyhouse. Bishop takes c3 automatic here, guys.
Yeah, I think that's very reasonable. Yeah.
A queen a8 afterwards is problem maybe.
I always feel like knight b8 is an okay defense. If you can get a bishop on b6, it would be nice.
Okay.
I was thinking knight e7 and then just pick up b7.
Here I think I'm taking on c3.
Oh yeah, my bad, you have a knight. c3, yeah, why not?
So is it bishop at b2? Is that the risk? Or bishop at e5 after queen takes c3?
Bishop e5, I maybe.
And knight at e7 is winning the queen.
Yeah, this is.
Which is okay.
Justin is the most okay guy at dropping his queen. It's like, okay, that's just one unit, never mind.
Yeah.
I'm sure he missed knight e7. I don't think. I mean, if you're gonna sacrifice your queen, you can do it in nicer version.
Unless you want pawn at e4, because you've got. How else do you make progress on that fortress? That's kind of why I say it's okay. Maybe he's accepted the king is safe on b8. It's a move you want to play, king b8. Stops any back rank action.
Wow.
And that could equally be as wrong, where he's just missed it. But there's worse blunders.
One of the worst blunders ever. Like, I want you on my team. When like when Judgment Day comes, I want this guy.
A question from the audience, Justin. Will they play all the games?
Yeah, I'd like to think they will.
Winning?
Yeah, I think that they will. So we'll definitely see a third round because catask can make a maximum of 30 to 10 today. So yeah, I think the matches in prior matches, even when there's been a decisive score, it's just that it hasn't been like by this margin ever before. So it's usually 3 or 4 more games, but.
Maybe we'll see some exhibition games, but okay, it's good for the audience.
It would be interesting to see how Jasugi plays after, if the match is decided. It may actually change things. It may be more free flowing.
I was about to say here I was probably playing rook b6. Just to get rid of that bishop. That bishop on b6 really is great defense, and maybe queen g3 is an issue. So he did not do it.
So what's material balance here? Is it about even except for the promoted queen?
What is going on?
Does it count as a queen sack if it's not a queen?
If a queen is sacrificed in a forest, but there's no one there to hear it, was the queen sacrificed or not?
Zen in the game of chess. Bishop f6. No majors.
Queen g6 and knight at e7. Oh. Queen h5, knight f4. It's
like a bad horror movie. The knight coming to e7. Right? I mean, that would be knight to f4. Oh, trapping the queen. Oh, this is really horrifying.
So is there mate here? Knight takes h5. This. Yeah, you have to stop queen at a8, knight at a7, bishop at c6. That was the mating pattern there.
Yeah, but this was a really nice move, queen d7, just to...
So rook at c8. You want to play pawn at e2 on a good day as black?
Right, you definitely do.
Pawn at e3 even. Just keep something burning. Yeah, rook at d2 is good too.
I think I would have played knight f4 myself, but this is definitely what black would have intended anyway.
Maybe he's got a bishop c4 idea, but the queen is still hanging this minute.
Oh, that is nasty.
The rook takes d1.
Rook takes c7. You wanted to go rook takes c7.
I wouldn't have given the beef. I thought keep the knight on d6 to defend b5. Because now there's a mate threat with rook at a7.
Yeah, or knight takes b6, whatever.
Knight takes b6 was the issue, right? Rook.
Ooh.
It's game over.
It's too tough. Well, he's got the adoption. That's 10 in a row. To do that in a grand final against Jasugi.
Becoming untouchable.
Yeah, we're seeing the making of a star here. Interesting point is this title has never actually been successfully defended. Oppo Wesen, he had the title from me, and then the following year we only had a 1 minute Crazyhouse Championship, which is slightly different. So in the 3 minute or 3+2, we've not seen a defense of the title so far. But catask looks like a very strong contender to be the first to do it next year.
He's at 28 now. He only needs 30 and a half.
Yeah.
To clinch the match, yes.
Yep.
My first instinct when I saw the move knight g5 was to play bishop g8. But now that I'm thinking about it more, it's like queen d7 and knight d4. I don't have to panic defense.
Yeah.
You know.
And with the king on h8 already, it's queen d7 is more palatable. Sometimes you get it pinned.
Right.
E6 becomes this horrible rinse and repeat square where you can never break out of it.
Never give it. Yeah, exactly. Or if you do break out those rinse and repair tactics, you're like 3 knights, 4 rooks, and a bishop down. You know, I defended the dark squares. Yay! I'm dead.
So you look at knight takes e6 here, pawn at d5. I just don't know if it progresses anything for white.
Yeah, I always play this as well, knight takes h7, but it works only in short time controls and against worse players than catask. So yeah, you get a lot of chances if you can trade some pawns. At h6 is obvious, but there's no pawn in hand, and catask is one of the few players who will play knight at g8 in this position.
Just keep the defense.
Yeah, and bishop at e8 coming and just taking the pawn. There we go.
Queen h5 here.
Bishop to h6.
Yeah, the queen on d7 is such a powerful defender.
Yeah, I'm really warming up to that reality as well.
What about a queen h5 then knight at h7?
And king takes h7 doesn't.
Knight at h7 is deadly. Yeah, knight takes f8. This is
That is a shot.
How do you defend this? Because even if you play bishop takes g6, queen takes g6, pawn f7, you can still play knight takes f8.
Knight takes f8.
You're not defending h7.
Mate on h7, correct.
Ah, yeah.
You got to play ugly rook f7.
Because
Very
there's
ugly.
the point of knight on g8 is that you have a knight on f6 defending, and then this is this move order Jasugi's come up with has made it very difficult.
Ooh,
Knight takes
f8
maybe
and
rook takes f8
rook
here.
h7. Rook h7.
So yeah, this could be holding now. But I think rook at h7, king g8, rook takes h6. The bishop on h4 is dropping. It's a good resource, knight g7.
Agreed. Anything in queen f6? No, I'm not sure. I doubt myself.
Yeah, black's
pawn
got
takes
enough.
and then rook takes, but yeah, black can defend.
Maybe bishop at f7 and queen takes f7 and then bishop takes f6.
Yep. I think that's what's best chance here.
The question is, are we looking at a countermate here soon with
I'm afraid.
pawn at...
Ooh,
Wow,
ooh,
spicy.
That is really asking the
I
challenge.
mean, rook at f8, bishop at h8 or something like this is pretty, yeah.
Yeah, I think as well. Rook f8 is the only move I think you should play here.
Right, stopping the king from returning back.
Yeah, maybe he was worried about the rook at f8, king g6, and you have no way to continue.
Now he's preparing rook f8, knight d5.
Then I could take and put a bishop maybe on e8.
Yeah, he had to defend f3 because of this
Knight h4
sort of threat.
here, maybe.
Yeah, pawn at g2 because you cannot take it because of knight h4.
Yeah, that's better.
Yes,
That looks. This
Yeah,
is also
this
good,
is
probably,
also...
but that looked over.
agreed.
Yeah, so another bishop on g2 to defend.
Knight at f3 was already made, right?
Knight.
It was checked on
I
h6.
like pawn on g2.
Oh, it was check,
I really
yeah.
like. Yeah, I really liked the pawn on g2 a moment ago.
Like it's up a lot of material.
Yeah. I mean, that's not fair. Like that with that knight at h7, it looks critical, and you still come up with the right defense against it.
Well, what? Okay.
Yeah, it's not allowing bishop takes h6. It's,
Right.
wow. Wow. What a beast.
Brutal.
What a beast.
Brutal. Well, at this moment, I almost feel like asking yourselves, what do you recommend on Netflix? Is there a good Charles Van Damme movie that I missed? The Muscles from Brussels. Oh boy, this is, oof. It's tough.
I played this as black against catask, and I actually didn't mind this. Knight e7, and I mean, maybe white should feel like there's some advantage on the light squares, but it doesn't become apparent. So rook c8 is okay here.
What's the saying, Yasa? But brick don't hit back.
Yeah. No, it's from Bruce Lee.
The boards, boards don't hit back.
Boards don't hit back.
That was from a Van Damme
Neil,
movie
I
too.
appreciate.
Oh, okay, different movie.
Oh yeah, you broke my record, and now I must kill you. Like what? Knight b5, bishop a5, I suppose. Well, the old double attack. Oh!
Yeah, because if you play f5, you give away all your dark squares, and
Agreed, but
But I
King
think
F7?
in the game I had against Qatar, I think I won like one game with Black here, where he tried to take some initiative with a few pawn sacrifices, and then I never castled. I think the king went to f7 though, and then this is very different though. White's actually got something on the light squares. So
Very
if
much so.
if you go ED, I think you've got to
There's a
take
pawn
it.
check on the E6.
Yeah, you go king g8, bishop takes g6.
Bishop E6. Yeah,
Won't you
that's,
start with
these are
bishop
very-
takes g6 here?
You could, you play king g8 immediately. If so,
If I had seen it, I would have started with bishop G6. If I had seen it.
queen takes d5 is okay. He's getting another piece into the game. But yeah, I mean,
think bishop takes g6 is very strong.
Yeah, I agree.
This is the first game I've liked the strategy from Jasugi in a long time, though. This is not giving catask just a structured position to keep playing. This is concrete and difficult. I like this. It might be good for White, or it probably is good for White.
That's that's the problem I'm having is that this could be just crushing.
Yeah, but knight takes g6 is a mistake. Like we already said, you have to play king g8 there. This is now probably over.
Yeah, but there was going to
chances.
be a pawn was
F5.
coming to.
Yeah.
Oh, f5.
So queen takes a2.
I thought queen takes e6 check, king takes e6, pawn to f5.
Yeah, you may be able to run back with king e7. It's close. It's like
no. There's even a pawn on d2 hanging, so that I could it gives me an extra pawn to put on.
In fact, against king e7, queen at e6, king d8, pawn at d7 looks like the problem there, because you've got two bishops staring at c7. But if not for pawn at d7, I think maybe black's got some glimmer of hope to defend. This, yeah.
That's game over.
Yeah.
Wow, 16 to 4. How he took it by an even wider margin than the first set.
Wow.
Jeez, that's just too tough. That's congratulations to Catask. That's amazing result already. So he has to come back and get half out of 20 to win the championship, because he's currently standing on 30 to 10. So I suppose let's also congratulate Jasugi for making a third set be played in the series, given how well Catask is playing.
I thought Nepo Miyanashi against Magnus was facing a kind of a Mount Everest at the end of that match, and you just proposed a different Mount Everest for
it's already very hard in classical, just going one game down.
Right.
Hit 2, 3, it's an impossible mountain to climb.
Yeah, here we're looking at Mount Everest without oxygen masks, right?
Or climbing gear. No climbing gear either.
No climbing gear.
Or food.
Wow. Impressive play. Just a lot of just very, very strong moves, and timely moves too.
Yeah, and momentum, and just once I find it's like you see there's a bit of nerves from Catask in the first couple games maybe, and then once he finds his groove, it's just so tough. It's like if you're Jasugi, it's like you'd have to try to win the first 5 in a row to put your opponent on ice, or else he settles in, and it's so tough. So yeah.
All right, so guys, what can Jasugi do?
Offer a draw.
Does anyone have an answer?
Right. Wow. Well, gentlemen, we'll see you Tuesday. I'll what is it? E Spiritu Sancti, and we'll make a prayer. I mean, it's bad news. Wow.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
phenomenal from catask.
Phenomenal play.
A few of us here, three of us have faced catask in the candidates, and so we know how this feels like. Yeah, it's like what now, 7.5 to 2.5 in terms of ratio. So yeah, catask didn't lose any game worse than 7-3 in the candidates. So
that's what Jasugi did in the previous year. It's just incredible that there's such a big step up from that level, which is already extremely high.
Yeah, Jasugi was so impressive in his candidates. And you compare, like we said, he beat 3 players 10-0, and that shouldn't happen to anyone. And then catask beat 5 players 10-0 this year. So yeah, okay. Well, we'll see what happens. So much suspense for what will happen in 2 days. Not really, but
not really.
But we'll watch some interesting games. I want to see how Jasugi plays when the result is finished, and you just can play free flowing, take some risks, have some fun. So
exactly. Gentlemen, it's been a pleasure. Big shout out to our audience. Thank you for sharing your weekend with us. Sorry we don't have a more competitive match, but hats off to catask. He's playing great. He's just playing great.
He has a goal to get to 3,000 rating. Let's see if he can do it on Tuesday.
That's what Magnus said. He's more inspired by a high elo than maintaining his title as a match holder.
All right, so that's what Jasugi can fight for in 2 days. Can he prevent catask getting to 3,000? Amazing what we're witnessing here. Okay. Yeah. We'll close there. Thanks everyone for watching.
Absolutely.
We'll see you in a couple of days. All right. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.